a snare. Shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth, a snare. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man.
Praise Yod and glory to his Christ. Mem Yod Kaf, Yudewavhe. I'm Enos Yod, and I am nothing more than a servant and messenger of Yod and his Christ. Mem Yod Kaf, Yudewavhe. Now, today's exponent, we're going to call it exponent, not testimony, an exponent. It's called The Many False Prophets and the Sexual Deviant Spirit Thereof. Now, the question is that I have today is, why do these false prophets that have rose up in the last days, particularly the black ones in the 20th and 21st century, that began as what looked like to be righteous men that cared for the so-called black man and woman, descendants of slaves here in the hills of North America. But at some point, they became possessed by a sexual deviant spirit. Now, the word deviant, as both the adjective and a noun, is described as a person's behavior or thing that departs significantly from the accepted moral standards. It originates from the Latin word deviare or deviare, which means to turn out of the way. So, these men that begin as righteous men at some point turned out of the ways of morality. And today, we'll be discussing several of these men. First is a man known by many as Elijah Muhammad, a man whose followers to this very day believe he was the Messiah, yet he has been dead since the late 70s. Now, although Elijah himself claimed that Farad Muhammad, which was the man who taught him, was the Messiah.
I looked at him and he, it just came to me like this, that this is the Son of Man that the Bible say that prophesy that will come in the last days of the world, and that I couldn't get that out of me. And I shook hands with him, and I said to him, I say, you are the one that the Bible prophesies that will come at the end of the world under the name Son of Man and under the name the second coming of Jesus.
They still, to this day, believe Elijah was the Messiah. See, just a bunch of lies and Negroes that suffer from the Messiah complex. That's all that is. Now, Elijah Muhammad founded the Nation of Islam in 1930 in Detroit, Michigan. He also produced many other false prophets that came by way of his teachings. Now, Malcolm X, who was a follower of Elijah Muhammad, and actually one of the righteous ones that came out of the nation, he was told by the son of Elijah Muhammad that Elijah Muhammad fathered many children with at least 9 underage teenage girls from ages 15 to 16 years of age. And it was said that he had been grooming them at even a younger age. Now, after Malcolm did his research, he asked Elijah about this situation. This is after Malcolm had met with several of the young ladies who told them from their own mouths that their children were Elijah's. But this is what Elijah Muhammad said when Malcolm asked him about these things, these allegations. He said that he was told by Allah to be fruitful and multiply. That was his response. In a nutshell, Malcolm left the nation, and he was eventually murdered for what he knew. So take a look at this clip of Malcolm X revealing what I just told you.
Why are they threatening your life? Well, primarily because they're afraid that I will tell the real reason that I'm out of the Black Muslim movement, which I never told. I kept to myself. But the real reason is that Elijah Muhammad, the head of the movement, is the father of 8 children by 6 different teenage girls. 6 different teenage girls who were his private personal secretary. The one who first made me aware of this was Wallace Muhammad, Mr. Muhammad's son. And it was their fear that if I remained in the Black movement and this came into the knowledge of his followers, that they would leave him and follow me. A plan immediately was set in motion to take me down, put me out, and the statement that I made about Kennedy was used as a pretext to take me down. Did you get out? What will you take to protect yourself from this threat? I take no steps. I have a rifle. If anybody comes to my house without a good reason, I intend to try and use it.
Now, the next false prophet indulged in murder, racketeering, child pedophilic behavior, also adulterous immoral acts. He was known, and is known till this very day, as Yahweh ben Yahweh. But he's spiritually known also as John the Baptist and other appellations. He founded the Nation of Yahweh in Miami, Florida in 1979 after leaving the Nation of Islam. He claimed to be the Son of God and came first as Moses Israel and later named himself after a false god called Yahweh. Now, he did great economic works, and by 1986, he had amassed over a $250 million enterprise here in the city of Miami, all in the name of this false god, Yahweh, as he had it all published on all his properties, on his hotels, his motels, his grocery stores, his limousine, his buses. Yeah, he was publishing this false name. But he also had a secret. And according to one of his ex-followers, today known as Khalil Amani, and formerly known as Judas Israel, who was an ex-security guard for Yahweh ben Yahweh and became a government informant, he claimed Yahweh ben Yahweh was having sex with other men's wives secretly. And he also got word from a daughter of Yahweh ben Yahweh's wife, one of Yahweh ben Yahweh's wives, that Yahweh ben Yahweh was molesting her for years. And she revealed it to her mom at age 15 or 16 and was not believed. See, they swept this under the rug. This wasn't even mentioned. Now, take a look at this clip as the brother Khalil Amani gives this testimony.
So how does
Yahweh ben Yahweh, according to the book Brother Love, Murder, Money, and the Messiah, which I have right here. Murder, Money, and the Messiah.
Let's see.
Sidney Freeberg, in her book, she says that the Nation of Islam kicked Hewlin Shaw, aka Yahweh ben Yahweh, out of the nation for homosexual tendencies and misappropriation of funds.
Oh.
That the nigga was stealing and possibly messing with young boys.
Whoa.
That's what she says.
Did you ask your children if they were ever touched?
No, my children never touched because they were too young to be touched.
Okay.
Even if they were, they wouldn't remember it, but they weren't. I dodged that bullet, and that was one of the reasons why I fought tooth and nail with my wife to get them out. Because ultimately, my daughter would have been touched by him because Yahweh ben Yahweh was having sex with his 12-year-old stepdaughter.
What the hell?
Since she was 12. And when she left, her name was Sarah. When she left, she said, and I quote, I can quote these people because I talked to them personally and I talked to people who were very close to them. Sarah told her mother, Sister Judith, who was Yahweh ben Yahweh's common-law wife,
Yeah.
the national secretary of the nation of Yahweh.
Yeah.
She said, I'm leaving, Mama, because I'm tired of your man fucking me.
Jeez. And how old was she at the time? She must have been, because
She was 15 when she left, or so, 15 or 16.
So for 3
but he
years.
had been doing it to her since she was 12.
Oh my! For 3 years, she went through that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this false prophet, known as Yahweh ben Yahweh, aka John the Baptist, was given 18 years in prison. He served 11 and was released due to his failing health from prostate cancer. Now, on another note, Yahweh ben Yahweh got out of prison in September of 2001, and he later died in May of 2007. May his soul burn in hell for turning out of the moral way. Praise Job. Now, Matthew chapter 19, verse 14, Christ says, suffer little children and forbid them not to come to me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. See, you must comprehend, these children, due to their trauma, could have grew up and stopped believing in God and the Christ. Why? Due to the fact that a man that was supposed to be the Christ, or God in the flesh, had done these things to them. And they could have fell into a life of drugs, and all kind of things, etc. Therefore, not even looking for the true Christ, may even become atheists and not believe at all. So you went against what the Christ said. You didn't let them children come to him. They filled with trauma. As you can see in some of these other videos I showed of these other false prophet pedophiles, the children were traumatized, man, and they expressed that. Now, I have other testimonies concerning this false prophet, as he is directly a part of biblical prophecy in many ways. But we discuss them later in the near future. So moving forward, the next false prophet we'll be talking about is the founder of the Nawabian nation of Moors. He was also a Freemason. His name was Dr. Malachi Z, another deceiver that portrayed to be righteous, but was a sexual deviant and pedophile. This man was accused of over 40 counts of pedophilic behavior. He also had the nerve to say, when you see him, you see God. Take a look at this clip from a documentary called Dr. Love Convinced His Cult that he was an alien God.
You see God. It was frightening at first. Now it's not frightening no more. Now I'm thinking revenge.
He ended up at one point with 10,000 followers.
He was a chief Black Eagle of the Lost Tribes of the Yamasee, and he was the man from planet Risk. And then he settled on the Dr. Malachi Z. York identity, the master teacher of the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. He had all the earmarks of cult. The people who came in had to renounce their families. They gave him whatever possessions they had.
Now, this next clip is of the stories of a few of his now grown victims as they give their horrific story. Take a look at this clip.
The first time I saw porn was in his home at 13. I can remember I was 12 years old. One of his women called me to come upstairs or to his private quarters. The grooming went on where he would just either fondle you, or you had to perform oral sex, or he would have anal sex with you. And I was like, my virginity. What's gonna happen to my virginity? Because that's all I knew growing up, that we were chosen, and we were pure, and we were to remain that way until we got married. And I believed in it. I truly, truly believed in it. He actually held me down and took my virginity. I was miserable. Like, I didn't want to exist. Like, I remember, I even one time attempted suicide. There was nothing intimate or affectionate or I just remember sitting there in the dark. The last thing that I was holding on to was God. His only words were, this is the culture from our ancient traditions in Africa, and that's what we practice. There was no one to tell. There was no one to tell. I didn't know that what he was doing was wrong. I felt ashamed about it. I felt disgusted about it, but because he was the leader, I didn't know who to tell.
And when you see me, you see God.
And he saw that he could operate totally in the clear, do whatever he wanted within his community.
Ever wondered if your Mac is underperforming? If you have spare 4 minutes, check it with Clean My Mac.
We were going to have our Mecca, our promised land.
York bought this property. It was approximately 420 acres out on the western side of the county. When they showed up in town, I actually saw some of them, and I thought there was some kind of rodeo going on. They dressed in cowboy attire, big buckles like rodeo buckles and cowboy hats.
We're in the Bible Belt, so let's put on cowboy boots and cowboy hats so they don't think that we're just, thousands of black people coming and take over their town.
And then they transformed into the whole reincarnated Egyptian pharaoh. I know this sounds ridiculous, but this happened.
And then the next shift was a spaceship was coming to pick us up.
Wake up, New Orleans. Before it is too late.
Only those chosen is going, and we had to prepare ourselves to leave people behind, including loved ones.
That's why that eagle is there. That mound is a landing point when the crabs come.
That ship was going to be the 12th planet, which is called Nibiru, and that we were gonna, go on Nibiru. We're gonna go live on that planet. The pyramids happened when the movie Mummy came out. It was a, box office seller. It was big. He said, okay, so this is where the public is going. So now we have to profit off of, we are the Nubians. We are the original Nubians. Because now the public is looking at Egypt and ancient Egypt. How can I build a pyramid on my land? Because Las Vegas built a pyramid.
Ask me why I went to Las Vegas. Because I wanted to see Luxor. I wanted to see this thing they built called a pyramid and a sphinx.
He was like, well, if they could do that, then it's possible for me to build a pyramid.
They were building structures, not getting permits, and that's when they first claimed to be sovereign citizens. It was their own nation. That's something nobody in Georgia had ever experienced before.
I'm talking about a real nation, our own nation, right here. Right here. We have our own passports and our own tax system, where no one tells us what to do but us.
They actually issued passports. Tamaray, that's your Nubian nation passport, and that's your Tamaray passport. This was the Nubian national flag. Odd bills, $3 bills, $7 bill, $19 bill, $49 bill. They built a huge nightclub and opened it up with no permits. The Ramsey's Social Club, as he called it. Imagine there were 500 or 600 people or more there on a Saturday night.
But of course, he had no liquor license, no permitting, no nothing. And the place was a fire trap. Sheriff Sills went out there and shut down the nightclub.
Are you not going to let us proceed? Any building on this property to see if it's in compliance with the zoning ordinance and the building thing. I got the state fire marshal down, and we finally, with a court order, got in there. There's a court order that says you shall not impede.
Okay, so you violated what the lawyer said.
Your lawyer does not tell us what to do.
Okay.
Thank you. I very much didn't want an armed encounter with these people. My biggest fear always was that I was going to have a Waco type situation. So I ended up filing civil lawsuits against the property and the people, thinking that would be less confrontational. We had at least 700 or more of them outside the courthouse that day. It's unbelievable.
They physically harassed us, and they hurt us economically. And I think the only way for us to deal with them is to respond in the same way. I think it's just a matter of time before people get the courage to start striking back.
We were told well-known civil rights advocate Reverend Al Sharpton was to speak on helping the Nuwaubians solve their building permit problems.
We must understand that we are not the Syrian of America. We are the original people of the planet. We are the people.
Well, I was a racist redneck sheriff picking on this prominent black man. Just that simple.
They work together against you. The judges work together. The lawyers are working together. The building inspectors working together. Everybody's all teamed up in a little KKK clique down here.
While all this was going on externally, every day and every night, York was raping children. It was still, a cult, and it was still hurting hundreds and hundreds of people.
Now, this man, he was sick. He molested boys as well. See, these men are driven by power and begin at some point to feel untouchable and increasingly grow in narcissistic behavior. They have no regards of the safety and well-being of these children. None at all. Now take a look at this clip.
He was brought into the courtroom in Eatonton, and he wasn't wearing his robes. He was wearing a jumpsuit with hands and feet shackled.
You understand you're charged with 40 counts of aggravated child molestation. You could receive a maximum sentence of 30 years in confinement for each count that you're charged with.
The bond hearing for Nuwaubian leader Dwight York became a preview of what the prosecution and the defense will argue if and when his child molestation case comes to trial in federal court.
State Representative Tyrone Brooks was the first of a succession of witnesses called to vouch for York, telling the court York had a good reputation and has built a viable, stable community.
The defense presented the Nuwaubians' medical doctors, who testified that over the years they have never seen any evidence of child molestation. And the defense presented a succession of Dwight York's followers, such as this man, who testified that his children have often been alone with York and love him. No sexual abuse. His followers say he is a man of God, whose enemies are out to get him by coaching children to believe that he molested them when he hasn't.
He was black in a white community, and he had the audacity to put up huge statues. And when that was done, it created a fear in the mind of those folks there against this group.
we got mounds of criticism. A lot of people wanted to draw it into a, the white sheriff versus the black powerful person, and that the white sheriff couldn't handle having a loudmouth, powerful, wealthy, successful black person at odds with him.
It didn't bother me. I absolutely expected it. But the real, the real irony of all of this is every victim of Dwight York, Malachi York, Zodok, whatever the hell you want to call him, every victim is black.
I was very interested in any sort of guilty plea that we could arrive at.
I was okay with it because it kept the victims from having to testify.
We felt that 15 years would be something that the defendant and his attorney would be interested in, and so we offered it, and they accepted it, and he pled guilty.
You have a right to plead not guilty or remain silent. Not in any plea and in any case automatically obtain a jury trial. You understand these rights and understand that you plead guilty to give up these rights. You heard the recommendation the state made. Is that the recommendation you understood the state would make? Did you, in fact, do what District Attorney Mr. Bright told me you did? How do you plead, guilty or not guilty, as to all the indictments cited by the District Attorney? Did anybody force you or threaten you in any way to charge you down with this guilty? Malachi Z, I find you pleaded guilty was freely voluntary and no agreement. There was a factual basis for your plea. I accept your plea.
We were putting him in prison for 15 years. He was losing $1 million worth of property, and when he came out, he would be an absolute nobody, except a convicted child molester. And to someone with his ego, that would be a prison worse than hell.
Dr. Malachi Z. York was ultimately given 135 years for these allegations, these charges. And he pled out to them. Now, if the plea was 135 years, then he had to been facing the death penalty. And if that was the case, if he was innocent, as all his followers today still believe that he was innocent, then why didn't he choose death? Why didn't he take it to trial? Why even plead guilty to something that you're innocent of? See, the very fact that you pled guilty gives me guilty vibes. So it doesn't matter what your followers are saying about you being innocent. You yourself, Dr. York, pled guilty. So you're just a sick nigga. You admitted it. And made his physical vessel rot in that cell. And when his vessel was gone, made his soul burn in hell. Now, this concludes the first segment of this video expomony. I will be back with part 2, which I will be discussing the last 3 sexual deviant false prophets. One known as Africa Bambaataa, founder of the Zulu Nation, Brother Polite, founder of New Covenant Organization, and a weirdo by the name of Nature Boy, who goes by 3 God and Chief Sugarfoot or some ridiculous Native American mess. But stay tuned, because this is going to get deep. And remember, the true living Christ loves the children. We are to protect our children. So if one claims to be the Messiah and has this immoral characteristic, they are not sent from the true living God. And that's a fact. Remember that. Shalom Aleichem and an Yeha family.
To wit, I am Mika. I am the first, Mem. I am also the last, Yod. I am Mem Yod, for thereby I, even I, am He. and there is no God with me. I am the one that this entire planet is waiting for to come as the Christ. I am the only one that fulfilled Revelation chapter 19 and verse 12. I have come in a name that no man knew that was written except me, myself. I have also come in the name of the God of the Hebrews that was hidden in Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 9. One name. Now, you cannot prove with substantiating proof that I am not the Christ unless you can prove who is with valuable proof. That is, according to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 21. Until then, you keep your mouth shut at me.